Hey, everybody. Today we have an extra special kind of episode that we're starting here on the Entrepreneur Expansion Show. This is the belief busting coaching session live, where we're diving into potentially imposter syndrome today. So, we're going to have a real live coaching session to support the fabulous Christi. Oh my goodness, I totally did not ask how to say your last name before we got online. This is how live
Yeah.
this really is. Can you say your last name for me?
Kmec.
Okay, awesome. It's so funny. I usually check that
Yeah.
before we hit go, and I
Yeah.
that was on my notes to do. Um, and we're gonna go in and help Christy and her absolutely awesome business, which is writtenhugsdesign.com. And if you've ever felt like what you offer isn't unique or valuable enough to stand out, then stick around because this episode could really help you transform your business and give you a breakthrough that maybe you've been waiting for. So I want to welcome you all to the Entrepreneur Expansion Show. I am Matt Travis, the host, and today I'm excited to be kicking off this new type of um, we have a couple different types of episodes, but this one speaks to me in a really high way because it's what I've been doing for the past 15 years, whether I was getting paid for it in the beginning or not. This is like my favorite thing to help people break through, not just at a conscious level, but a deeper subconscious level and go through some questioning and some patterning and programming that has been blocking us. Because like Christy and I were talking before, we are just running on subconscious programs, folks,
hmm
right? And so I want to thank you for being open to sharing this. And this is not only going to help you a ton today, but it's going to help other people that watch this in the future. And the programs that we have as we're going up, and out of all of the hypnotherapy sessions I've ever done, they all come back to enoughness. Okay.
Mm.
Am I good enough to do this thing? And when I met Christy, I said to her, I said, I just love your business idea. So I would love for you to just share what your business is, and then we'll keep
Yeah.
this party going.
Great. Well, my company, Written Hugs Designs, I started at the end of 2022, and the whole mission is to help people feel more seen and less alone and create moments of heartfelt connection for people. So I started in the greeting card space because I got tired of reading a million cards that didn't actually say anything significant, that didn't lean in with vulnerability or authenticity, especially when words are hard to find, or acknowledge how like holidays, milestones, and celebrations are all harder when you're grieving. So I started to make what I wish existed in the world. Um, in the sympathy space, my cards are courageously vulnerable. In mental health, they are deeply intentional. And some of my cards are uniquely powerful because they have prompts right inside the card for you to answer about the person you're giving it to, helping
Wow.
you become more intentional in that space, whether it's a birthday card or maybe somebody's on their deathbed, or maybe you're the person on your deathbed and there are things you want to say to your people. Or maybe it's Mother's Day and you were friends with somebody whose mother passed. I have a Mother's
Mm,
Day card with prompts for you to answer about their mother for them. It's just
wow.
these things that are so valuable that we don't share with each other because it's almost like we don't have permission. It's like we don't have a venue for it. So I'm trying to put these out into the world to, again, help people feel more seen, less alone, and create more heartfelt moments of connection. That's where I started. In 2023, I started a card for card donation program. So for every card someone purchases on my website, I donate a card to nonprofits serving people who also need these uplifting messages.
Wow.
So my customers are not only encouraging people in their life and have these moments connections with them, they're going to double their impact simply by choosing Written Hugs Designs. And that has now expanded into stickers, prints. I have a children's book coming out, which I'm so excited about. It's a picture book. It's really geared for like 4 to 8 year olds, And it's as beneficial for the parent as it is for the child. And this is who it's for. It's for parents who want to intentionally and deeply connect emotionally with their children and are struggling with mental health issues. And it's written in the voice of the parent. And the whole book has a few goals. One is to have this vocabulary of being able to talk about emotions and how things feel and what is true. What is true is I love you when I'm happy and I love you when I'm sad. I love
Mm-hmm.
you when I'm silly and I love you when I'm mad. And that's goal number one. Goal number two is to empower parents who are in a low to be able to care for themselves as well as their kid. As a
Mm-hmm.
parent who's been in lows in the midst of parenting kids this age, um, taking care of myself, I just didn't even have the bandwidth to even know what I needed. Like the self-awareness, just all I knew is I needed to keep my kids safe, make sure they had what they needed. And
Totally.
that's all I had bandwidth for. And I could read them a book.
Yeah.
So right within this book, it says, sometimes emotions overwhelm me and make it hard to play. That's why I'm learning how to care for myself, which helps me through each day. I might meet with friends or go outside or take a hot bath. I might make something new or exercise or take a long nap. And that's just part of the book. And the hope is that if a parent is in a low, in the midst of reading it, or maybe having had read it so many times, they have a list to choose from of something they could do.
Mm.
And at least four, if not five, of those things you could do with your kids if you want to nap with your kids. But at least
Yeah.
four of those things you could do with them. Um, and then the last two goals are to teach children they are not responsible for their parents' feelings.
Oh,
And finally, to remind children that they are loved even when their parent is in a low. So
man.
that is, I'm in pre-launch right now. I'm taking
I
pre-orders for
love
the
it.
book. And then the thing that I want to talk to you about in part of this value thing and not enoughness is I am starting a card connection service for business professionals. I'm going to focus on financial advisors, wealth managers first, where they have clients that they care about and they want to have meaningful moments of connection throughout the year with them, but they don't have bandwidth
Mhm.
to do so. Or maybe they know their clients are going through something and they don't have bandwidth to go to the store and read a million cards to find the perfect card to send to them. And what I'm offering is services that they could either buy in bulk from me or maybe I send them for them, you know, maybe a light touch where I'm just signing their name and writing their client's name and sending it, or even more so where I'm writing out like even more of a, you know, few sentences on their behalf,
Wow.
service so that those moments of connection can happen for people. So
I
that's all the
love
things I got.
I love it all. And I'm like, well, do we need to do this episode? Because everything you said sounded freaking awesome. And it was just so amazing. And you can tell that you're super passionate and excited about this. And this
Mhm.
isn't just a business that you started to make money. This is a
Yeah.
mission. True or
Yes.
false? Right?
True.
This
100%.
is totally like a emotionally driven mission with also some philanthropy behind it of just being
Yeah.
able to give back
Mhm.
the other cards and pieces like that. And folks, we will include how to get access to all of this stuff in the show notes. But
Mhm.
I love this mission, and it's what really like excited me to kind of work with you today and support you on this. Because I do believe in your mission, and I'll tell you what resonated with me when I heard first your story and things like that. But I guess I would love to understand like what makes you feel
Mhm.
that your offer isn't necessarily unique or valuable enough to
Yeah.
stand out.
I think so. In context of this new card connection service, is kind of the place that I feel the most uncertain, partly because it's a bit new. The people that have been um the most like, absolutely, I want that, I need that, are people I know that I've networked with, that I, have met either personally or professionally. So I haven't yet tested with people I don't know. That's number
Mhm.
one. It's a little bit of a question mark there. Number two is, as I do my research on what's out there, like there are people that provide services that are similar, and they are able to do it at a lower cost. And um as somebody who's very frugal myself, I can get tripped up on, I can't match that. I can't compete with that. And really reframing my mind that I'm doing something else. These are not standard cards. They do stand out in the messaging. They do stand out for the heart that was put into them, and the energy put into them in their very design and conception. That is something that I get tripped up on when I start to look at what else is out there for cheaper, like the dollar card section. Or like I get like I can't even get it for $1 myself, like let alone sell it for $1. But that's because I choose the premium card stock, and there's a way that they're made professionally that is extra care, and it almost looks like a painting on a card. There's reasons why I can't get it for $1. But yeah, I think it's when I start to compare what else is out there, what other services are offered, and what they're saying. It sounds similar to what I'm saying, and then I start to doubt being able to sell it, to like explain it correctly.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
I start to doubt myself there, and I hate
Yeah.
sales. I hate
Ah, okay. So we got the real thing, folks. So that was it right there. Snapshot. Take it. Um, so one of the things that I want to do with you today is reframe your beliefs around sales
okay.
and what that is, okay? Because um and then also, so we'll come back. I'm going to put a pin in that for a second. So we're going to reframe sales for you and help you see why it's so important. Okay, and
Okay.
then excuse me. So then the other part of this is what you were explaining right there. I guess I want to understand your belief structure around energetics and like the energy that you put into something and what your
Mm-hmm.
beliefs are around that. So like
Sure.
let me explain what I mean. So whenever you I'm assuming you have children.
Yeah, 3. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whenever you receive this thing from your child, like
Mm-hmm.
a picture or whatever it is, what do they do it like when they're writing or making something, I love you, mommy, things like that? What, and you're smiling because you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. It's like
Yeah.
what are they doing and what are they putting into it? And even though it might look insane when you get it, there's something that they're doing that makes you
Mhm.
receive it in the way that they did it. What is
Yeah,
it about that?
because they're expressing themselves free of judgment.
Bingo. Okay. And so what it is they're exuding love. They're exuding a
Mm.
certain frequency and vibration when they do this thing. Okay. So I talked to a lot of business owners around this, like how you what you're when you're doing anything, social media, lead gen, sales, any of this stuff, the the energetics behind it, aka your beliefs, your focus and attention, and your feelings behind all of this stuff. And this shit is not woo woo, folks. This is just me explaining how things work. All right. The energetics behind it is what's going to be received from the other person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you feel uncertain and you're like, oh, I don't know if they can afford it and blah, 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 and like all this stuff, then mirror the mirror
Yeah.
of you is going to be shown to them, and then they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't know, blah blah blah, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're absorbing your feelings. And there's tons of cool videos that prove this at a scientific level um on YouTube now that anybody could go watch. But there was a really cool study where they put sweat pads on different people. So they put sweat pads on on like people who just exercised, and then they put sweat pads on, you might
I've
remember.
heard this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they put
Uh-huh.
sweat
Go ahead.
pads on people that jumped out of planes.
Yep.
And then they had people smell them, and they did brain scans on what was happening for them. And the people that smelled the sweat pads of people jumping out of planes had the same reaction, and they started to
Mm-hmm.
have more fear and anxiety. So everything is energy, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the energetics that you're putting behind this. And I noticed
Mm-hmm.
you, some of the language that you used while you were saying this, you were like, I can't get cards at different, I choose. It's not that you can't, it's you could, but you choose to make this shit extra special,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
you go, it's kind of like when you have something that your mother makes that just tastes so amazing because your
Mm-hmm.
mom put people joke like the extra, ingredient is
Is
love,
love. Yeah.
but you're freaking putting love into all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
True or false?
Yeah. True. Yes, absolutely.
And like when you started talking about what you're doing, this is a soul divine led mission. This isn't something
Mm-hmm.
that you just were like, oh, I want to build this business and make some money. This is
Mm-hmm.
bigger than that. And so
Mm-hmm.
your story
Mm-hmm.
sells. Okay. That is
Mm-hmm.
your new sales. Okay.
Okay.
Selling saves lives, and it's selling is a connection to you. Okay, so when they hear your reason behind, so anybody that listens to this is going to be like, oh my goodness, I want one of those cards, because they feel the vibration and frequency and the energetics behind what you did and why you did it, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
more than just me going to CVS and getting a Hallmark card.
Yeah.
No shade to Hallmark, I'm just giving you examples, right?
Yeah.
But it's helping people see, like, why do people actually buy from a company, from people?
Mm-hmm.
I started asking myself that because, like, not only when I was running my fitness facility, and when I started doing online training and stuff like that, I would always ask my clients, like, why did you buy? And they all the time would tell me just me. And I'm like, that's not helpful from a market research standpoint. Like, I want to know why. And it always comes back to when you can help a person feel something, right?
Yeah.
Emotion creates motion. Emotion is the language of subconscious, folks. Okay. And so that's why storytelling or story selling works. It's because it impacts you emotionally, and you create a feeling state that attaches a meaning to the thing that you're connecting to. So the focus on what you do versus me just going out because and getting a card from CVS, like, I don't really feel connected to that card. My
Yeah.
wife loves cards. I've
Yep.
never felt connected to cards. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this leads to something that I'm when you booked this episode, I was like, I really want her to hear my story,
Okay.
because this is going to help you see why I would have loved to have what you offer.
Mm-hmm.
Because when me and my wife had our first miscarriage
Mm-hmm.
in 2014, and I'm going to do my best to not get emotional, um, there wasn't a card for us.
Yeah.
There wasn't a way for me to show her.
Yeah.
And when I heard what you offer, I was like, man, I really wish I knew. I really wish this existed when we had that first one. And then,
Yeah.
even more importantly, our second miscarriage.
Yeah.
Because what I learned from this is that there's a lot of women and
Mm-hmm.
men, no one talks about the men, but there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
couples that are walking around silently suffering
Yeah.
because no one ever knew that they went through that.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
I learned from I was a teacher for a long time, and I was one of the only, pretty much the only male teacher in my school. And so many
Mm-hmm.
of the women in the school really shared their stories with me. And I got
Mm-hmm.
to learn that there are a lot of people that go through
Yeah.
miscarriages, and it is a very common thing, but
Yeah.
no one talks about the emotional toll that it
Right.
can have on you and the connection relationship with your partner. And there's no fucking
Mm-hmm.
words for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
There's no words to express how I wanted to share with her
Yeah.
my feelings and what I truly felt. And I
Yeah.
wanted her to know that I was in this hole with her too, because I know
Mhm.
I'm sure a lot of women feel like they're kind of like, because they have such a physical connection, and
Yeah.
men, we're not in that same space where we had something growing and then it's no
Mhm.
longer.
Mhm.
But it's different for men, and it's,
Mhm.
if I had a card to explain what I was feeling, and then also
Mhm.
just to let her know that I see her and I
Yeah.
love her and I care for her,
Yeah.
it would have meant the world to me, and I would have paid whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing all of that. It's interesting that you say your first miscarriage was 2014. My first was in 2012. We miscarried identical twins in 2012, and then we had another miscarriage in 2013. And it was um, my first instance of grief where I was face to face with the reality that most people do not know how to show up in the grief space. People are very uncomfortable with pain. I told everybody when we were pregnant with twins the second I found out.
Hmm.
So I didn't have the experience that you had where people didn't know, but my experience was different because then I had to tell them,
Totally.
that we had lost them. And I found a lot of my journey and my experience informs what I do today, right? Because
Totally.
I noticed that there's certain ways people show up. Um, they can show up and say or do the most meaningful, heartfelt thing. They can show up and say things that are the most hurtful things, not intending to.
Totally.
They don't mean to cause more harm. They're just trying to ease the pain, but in doing so, they say or do something that removes permission from the grieving person to grieve.
Hmm.
At least you can get pregnant, for example.
Yep.
Although it may be true, these things remove permission for the person, and then that person knows I am not understood and I feel more alone now. And it happens
Bingo.
instantaneously and it's not
Bingo.
actually said. The other one is not saying a thing. There's two ways to not say a thing. And I think it comes back to your point about energy. The first way is you're uncomfortable. You don't want to do what that person did and
Totally.
say something that's going to make it worse because they know that's possible. I'm just not going to
Yep.
say anything. And I'm going to pretend like that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
When you share space with a grieving person and they know that you know about their loss and you pretend it didn't happen, I want to say this with a lot of grace because we don't know better. We don't teach each other better. So if this is you, please know it's okay. Um, and what happens is the grieving person in an instant understands that you are uncomfortable with their pain and it is their job to match your pretending to make it okay for everyone else in the room, which is which is more energy required of the grieving person to
Hmm.
now carry your discomfort. And nobody wants that for them, right? You wouldn't intentionally do that. But when we show up in a space and do that, that's what happens. And we don't talk about it. The way you can show up and not say anything is being hyper present in it, giving them the most meaningful hug, looking at them in the eye. And here's the things over the years I have learned are the things to communicate in one way or another. You matter. Your loss matters. Your person who's gone matters. And you are not alone. If we can communicate those four things, whether it's with words, with deeds, or simply by being so hyper present, they can feel all those things at once. That is how we show up in the space with a grieving person. And I feel like that's what you were saying and what you were trying to find in a card. for your wife.
So, Christy, I
Yeah.
need you to hear me when I say this.
Okay.
You just sold me cards by what you just shared with me. I'm in.
Okay.
I'm literally never going to buy a card from another person ever again. You're the only one. And so,
Okay.
like, do you see how you didn't think of that as selling, did you?
No, no, it's just true.
But what you're doing there is you're giving education around emotional intelligence, which is what you just
Hmm.
did. And you gave people a chance to understand what to do in that moment.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people don't have the emotional intelligence or just feel very uncomfortable. Do I say something? Do I not say something? What if I don't say something? What do I say? People have trouble with feeling uncomfortable. I've
Yeah.
gotten good at it because I do it for a living, right? Like I
Yeah.
work with people and we go to really deep, dark shit. But it's
Yeah.
like most people can't, or don't, not that they can't, they just don't know how. No
Yeah.
one's ever expressed what you just said right there. And if you can create a social presence and do that in your social media and your emails and all this stuff, right? This is the way that you educate people. Listen, they're going to lean in. Anybody that listens to this episode is going to be so dialed into what you just said, and
Mm,
uh, they're going to buy a card just because of what you just shared.
mm, hmm.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's really something where your story and the way that you shared stuff there, you weren't
Hmm.
trying to sell me anything.
No.
And I instantly felt a deeper connection to you because you expressed what I was feeling on the inside when I couldn't express to my wife the way I felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why your mission is so important, right? And
Hmm.
it's this limiting belief that you have, right?
Hmm.
That the differentiation I bring in this saturated market isn't enough to stand out
Mm.
is kind of this belief. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So where does that come from? Like, what's the earliest memory you can recall where you felt like what you had to offer wasn't enough, different, or worthy of attention?
The earliest.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, I just remember the I don't know if I would say it's specifically that. It's more the overall understanding that I had to be the best athlete, the best um, student, the best Christian, the best attitude, always, all the time. That the weight of being perfect um, was vital for not only my salvation, but for every person I came in contact with. I grew up in an evangelical Christianity, and there's this thing they say that they don't say outright, but what it translated for my understanding as a child is that every interaction I had was um, a God invitation to point people to Jesus. And if I didn't point them to Jesus as well as God had invited me to do so, and they didn't receive the truth about Jesus well enough, and they died and went to hell, that was my fault. And I carried that from a child. And so the understanding of what was expected of me, um, the having the best attitude always and forever, the best student, like all of these things, I remember that from being very, very young, very young.
Yeah. So of
Yeah.
course you developed a hyper achiever saboteur that no matter what
Yeah.
you did, nothing was ever enough. Would you say that's true?
Right. Yes, I would say that
Right.
is true. Yeah, that
Anytime you,
layers right
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you reach and you hit this plateau, the bar moves. And
Right.
so, of course, you're thinking in this business that you're building that if you're not better than Hallmark, then it's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
And as
Or
you're
if I
loud,
can't
you're kind
compete in
of, yeah,
certain ways, right?
yeah, yeah. And you're
Maybe
laughing
I'm
because
doing
when I
some,
say it that way, you're like, well, that sounds silly, right? Like it's
right.
almost like I'm showing you how it looks from a conscious level to
Hmm.
give that emotion and like laugh at it. And one of the best techniques I teach my clients is like when you get into this drama triangle stuff in your head, right? I call it the
Hmm.
shitty committee in your head. When you get into the shitty committee and it starts saying this stuff, do it out loud. Like do it out loud
Hmm.
in loud because when you
Yeah.
hear yourself saying it, you kind of laugh at it. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, Christy, you're not as good as Hallmark. Okay, thanks for sharing, right? Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing the four best words, by the way. So you're just like, thank you for sharing, right? You
Yeah.
can use it in real life with people too, but it's great to tell you that to your mind because your mind is doing that to keep you safe, right? It's doing that
Right.
to keep you small and safe and so you don't get rejected so that it feeds into that feedback loop of all of the things you just shared to me that it proves the all the things that you developed when you were young
Hmm.
that they were right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
none of that is true. Okay. And it served you when you were a little kid because you probably worked wicked hard, right? You
Hmm.
probably
Oh
worked
yeah.
super hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so the other lie that it shares with you is that do you see what happened when you worked super hard, Christy? Look at all the
Hmm.
validation that you got. Look at all of the
Right.
things you got, right? And
Yes.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then none of that will happen.
Hmm.
All of that is bullshit,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And so we want to go into, okay, we know what the belief is. We now know where it came from.
Hmm.
What's the gain that you get from it? Like, has believing this helped you avoid rejection risk? Like what is it doing for you? What is this belief doing for you?
Mm. I think I think at the time and through most of my adulthood, it's the fear of rejection. It's the fear of being um of the not enoughness that you said. The um when I would spend time with people or ask people to spend time with me, I noticed a pattern of sweetening the deal, so to say, um, choosing something I knew that they liked to do because then it was worth their time to spend with me because just
Hmm.
spending time with me isn't worth it. That sort of thing I noticed over time. So I think it's definitely a fear of rejection um, that it was protecting me from the most.
So you can see how, hey, you know what? If I don't go on social media and I don't share this and I don't put this business out there and I don't approach people and I don't sell this, what is it doing for you?
Then I don't get rejected.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good deal to the subconscious, doesn't it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I got to keep Christy safe,
Right.
right? Do you remember
Mm-hmm.
when she was rejected XYZ times when she was a kid?
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good idea. We should not be doing this, right? And so what our job is to override that and
Mm-hmm.
start to let it know that you are safe,
Mm-hmm.
that you are taken care of. So
Yeah.
the next piece to this puzzle is really going through this whole process of saying, okay, if that's the case, then, you know, what is the actual cost? What is this
Mm-hmm.
belief costing your business, your confidence,
Mm-hmm.
even your joy and fulfillment?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could, like, as you said, if I'm approaching these cold calls, which I haven't started doing, but when I start doing them, if I'm approaching them with a belief that I can't compete, that it's not worth it, um, that I don't say out loud, but I'm believing it inside of me, um, people can pick up on that, as you said.
1000%.
Um, it's the same. It's the same idea about behind my book with my kids. So as a parent who has anxiety and depression, I would try to mask that so well to get through everything, to take care of everybody. And I'm thinking I'm doing such a great job. And it was when my youngest was 3, I I dropped off my older 2 at like half day summer camp, and we're walking back to the car. And the routine was we'd get in the car, I'd put on a podcast, book, or music for him, and I would silently cry driving to the next thing. And he said to me, "Mommy, why are you sad?" And I thought I was doing such a great job
Yeah.
hiding it
Yeah,
from everyone. It's the same thing. We can tell. We can tell when what's really going on behind all the things.
for
So
sure.
that's what it'll cost me. If I don't truly believe and anchor into the value that I'm offering, it'll be felt.
Couldn't explain it better. Literally, our inner reality is creating our outer reality. So,
Yeah.
what's your feeling on the inside? So, I say it's your facts, focus, and feelings, right? Your beliefs, your attention, and the emotions behind it, right? It's felt. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally felt. That's why kids can know when you're sad before you actually say it. They just can feel it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of power behind this because you're seeing that it's not just costing you, but it's costing them. That's why trying to do more, like going with this hyperachiever saboteur and just trying to outdo your being, right? The way that you're being, if you're trying to outdo that,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be an exhausting, it's like driving a car with a parking brake on. It's exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to be doing a bunch with this belief structure in place, which actually blocks your doing.
Okay.
Doesn't it sound shitty?
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah, it sounds
yeah,
horrible, right?
that sounds
So
horrible.
now we're starting to put pieces where it doesn't feel good to stay there. So
Yeah.
we're sending them to our subconscious. We're saying, "Hey, it doesn't actually feel good. This isn't helpful." I
Mm-hmm.
know it did help you when you were younger, right? The program was
Mm-hmm.
there for a reason when you were younger. It's just not serving you anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? And think of it this way too. What will it cost the person that needs what you have to offer?
I mean, if I keep on believing that there's not the value there,
Yeah,
um, well, it could cost them that service. So
bingo.
part of the card service that I want to offer is not only like let's schedule a campaign, right? That we are sending these out on a regular basis. They're anticipated, whether it's birthdays or whatever. But I also want to offer them in those moments of unforeseen happenings that
Totally.
they can send me, this client just lost their spouse. I need a card. And then I send them my suggestions, and then I fulfill for them what they need. So just as you said, and as I've said, like going to the store to try to find a heartfelt card, especially in grief and loss, is so hard. So if I
Totally.
can't get past this barrier, I could be, um, depriving them of the opportunity to have this service that's really meaningful.
How does that feel?
It's starting to feel like I have more to offer than just cards, just sending a card.
This is way bigger than cards. This
It's
is way
way
bigger
more
than
than
cards.
that. Yeah.
So what? So what's it going to cost you other than just not making the sale? We know what it costs them. We know it. We know it's costing you money.
What do you mean? Can you say again? Like what part?
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel when you think about this belief?
Which belief?
The belief that I can't compete in this and that my service isn't that good.
Mm, how does that make me feel? That
Yeah,
belief?
yeah,
Not enough. Not enough.
totally. Would you say that same thing to your best friend or your children?
No, no.
Right. And so, but you allow your mind to share that with you, and your mind
Mm-hmm.
is not this ego and this persona and this saboteur it's not you. And the
Hmm.
proof is that who's listening, right? So it's
Hmm.
saying you get to choose whether you accept it or not.
Yeah.
And really, if you think about it, if you really think about it, it's the voice of the people that indoctrinated this belief to you anyways.
Yeah.
All of the people that told you all of the things that run
Yeah.
unconsciously now. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what's the consequence of holding on to this belief for another 6 months to a year?
Oh, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
What
Um,
what would it be though? What would be the consequence?
um, I think, like you said, it would probably feel like trying to drive with the parking brake on.
Hmm.
That there's this invisible thing that's holding me back
Totally.
from really helping people.
Yeah. And what would it be like if you let go of this belief forever right now?
I think it would be it would feel rather freeing to not feel tethered to approval and validation from an external source, that I could, it might even help my creative process being more. I mean, I certainly have moments where I'm just creating and it's like that flow state that everybody wants to create out of. And sometimes it feels forced. Um, I think it would help, um, all of it. You know,
And that's
the
that
process might
hyperachiever
it all.
for the anytime you feel the force, that's that hyperachiever trying to force it. But when you're in
Yeah,
flow, you can feel the difference, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
want you
It's
to feel
very
that
different.
right. I want you to feel that right now.
Hmm.
Like I want you to feel what that feeling feels like of what would life be like? What would it feel like if
Yeah,
you let go of this forever right now?
I think it would feel a lot less stressful. I think it would just feel a lot more present, a lot more gracious, a lot more curious,
Totally.
a lot less judgmental. Yeah, I think it would feel wonderful.
Totally. So, can you 100% know that this belief is true always for everyone?
Which belief? Sorry.
No, it's okay. This belief of that your card service isn't enough, that it's not you can't compete, all it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's not true. I know it's not true.
So can the opposite actually be true,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so you get to choose every day which one you select,
Right.
right? The drop
Yeah.
down menu comes in, the shitty committee in your head starts talking,
Hmm.
and you get to decide, thank you for sharing.
Hmm.
I'm not accepting this, right?
Right. Don't talk to my friend like that.
Exactly. Exactly. So are you ready to let this go?
Yeah, I think so. Hmm.
So if you're ready to let it go, what is a more inspiring, empowering belief for you to hold then?
I am creating things out of vulnerability to help create moments of heartfelt connection that are otherwise hard to find.
So vulnerability creates heartfelt connection, is what you're saying to me.
Hmm.
How does that feel?
Feels true.
Totally.
Hmm.
And it is true. I mean, just today alone, like think of the back and forth vulnerability and it's made a better connection. I mean, we've never actually talked before this, true? Right? Other than
Yeah,
meeting on
not
that
yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
like one to one, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm just talking to a friend right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of this is the vulnerability and just the openness. And when you share, like this is life right here. Like this is
Yeah.
real life and it's real connection and there's true
Mm-hmm.
connection happening here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so how many people in a hyper connected world are actually craving this?
So many.
Is
Like
that
so
what
many.
your cards and the way that you're going to show up on social media and your emails and all the things that you do in your business,
Mm,
is that what you're going to embody?
yeah. Yeah.
So it's allowing people, you're giving people permission to be vulnerable. You're giving people
Mm,
permission to have heartfelt connections. You're giving people permission to not actually know what to say or what to do, but to give them uh, uh, give them a lifeline, give them a lighthouse piece that just helps them feel like, you know what? Even though I don't know what to say or do in this moment in time, in this particular situation, I see you, I hear you, you are enough. I'm here for you when you're ready, right? So it's giving that beauty of all of the mixture of all of the things that gives like you get a card like that, you're going to remember that person,
mm-hmm.
right? In your
Yeah.
lowest of low, I got this card from this person and it made such a big difference in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're the differentiator. Your story and energy are your superpower,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no saturation when the message comes from your soul.
Right.
Okay. So, which one do you think is in your greatest and highest good? Is it more important to hold on to the old belief or the new belief?
The
Which
new
one's more
belief. Yeah,
more
obviously. Yeah.
important, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So, which belief are you going to choose moving forwards? Which one's in your
Mm-hmm.
aligned highest good?
Yeah. The new belief.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's one small action you can take today, right after this, that would prove this new belief is true?
Mm, maybe practicing an affirmation about it.
I think that's a great start. And what would be an even higher sign if I'm going to just push a little bit?
Are you
I'm going
sure?
to, right? And I'm just going to say, hey, you know, wouldn't actually going and trying to, share this message with somebody and
Yes.
create an actual energetic exchange where people are exchanging energy, aka money, with you in exchange for this
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing that you've created.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much locking it in, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yep.
How does that make you feel though?
Um, I feel like I need to get my catalog in order to be able to give them something to choose from. Um, so that feels like I need to get that done first. And then it feels like that's what I'm going to need to do to start,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, so that's great. So the first move is make sure my catalog is in order. I'll
Right.
also keep the coaching going. Is you thinking getting your catalog in order rather than just reaching out and connecting with people and sharing your vision and things like that, is that going to sell things quicker rather than being like going
Mm,
back into the perfection mind of, oh, I need to get the
mm,
catalog in order, I need to do my logo, I need to do like this is what entrepreneurs do. They do all the stuff when it's like people need this today, they need it yesterday, they need
yeah.
it right now, right? And it's like that's why, I'm not a huge fan of social media, but I show up all the time because someone might need what I have to offer. And if I don't go out there and put it out there, then
Yeah.
I'm just kind of leaving them out to dry, right?
Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, who
Yeah.
needs you today?
Mm. Yeah.
Doesn't that make selling feel totally different?
Right. It feels like I'm helping them rather than selling to them.
Bingo. That's
Mm-hmm.
all you're ever doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't sell you on coming on here today.
Mm-hmm.
You chose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made you an offer. You know, you were
Yep.
like, "Hey, can I come on the podcast?" I said, "Yes, these are the three choices." And
Mm-hmm.
you made a selection, right?
Right.
So all you're ever doing is guiding people and giving them choices, right? And
Mm-hmm.
everyone's the empowered creator of their life. They get to make the choice for them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's the thing. You're no
Mm.
longer trying to be different. You're finally letting your difference just be felt, right? You're finally just stepping into what this is truly about. And this whole episode really embodies how powerful what you're creating is
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
why it's so important that you don't have to, you get to go out there and help people really express their feelings and share their vulnerability and connect at a much deeper level. You are selling connection. You're
Mm.
selling love. You're selling vulnerability. You're not selling cards.
Right. Yeah.
Questions about this?
No, that's good.
So this
Yeah.
is how you go through this and really stay with this and embody it. And what I want you to do uh, over the next couple of days is really just sit in this. And what I always recommend people do is before you go to bed at night and when you wake up in the morning, those are two really powerful subconscious time frames. What you can do is you can start to envision the wish fulfilled. So you're envisioning the thing as it's already happened, right? You're already successful. You're already successfully selling tons of cards, wherever you would need to be in order for this thing to happen. So this thing wouldn't happen unless you had achieved the thing that you wanted. Okay. So maybe it's you walking, and your kid is giving you a hug and they're saying they're proud of you for all the things that you're doing and whatever, right? Maybe it's you getting a message from a business owner that says, "Thank you so much. This has been so transformational for our business. I'm so grateful that I met you." Right? So you're living in that space and you're feeling that because the feeling is the language of the subconscious. And that is how we do it.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
So what are you going to go do at the end of this?
I think I'm gonna start making some calls.
I love it. Let's go.
See
Let's go.
what happens.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I love this. Thank you for being so awesome today, Christy. Thank you for sharing your story. I know I have no doubt, man, when this episode comes out, it's gonna help so many people, future
Yeah.
people. But you get to come back and listen to it as well and kind of
Yeah.
hear. And we can always go back to it and have another session, a year from now of the celebration of how far your business has come, right?
Yeah.
And that's the power of this. So thank you so much. And folks, if you are in this space, if you're at that point where you know the things that are inside are blocking you, reach out, connect. And
Mhm.
well, that's my dharma. That's what I'm on the planet for. Just like Christy's on the planet to help people create connections through vulnerability, right? I'm here to help people expand and transform their subconscious mind and really become the potential you. So, like I always leave off with y'all, remember, keep showing up, taking action, and you will get results. Have a fantastic day.